Things I noticed while watching the Lesserafim documentary. Trigger warning for EDs and disclaimer, I'm a fan of Lesserafim. Let's continue. The documentary was a good way of reintroducing the group following Karam's exit. However, you can tell this was recorded when Karam was still part of the group, and edits were made to remove her from certain shots. A Hybe employee said trainees should be worried all the way up to debut, as members can be swapped until then, such as Kazuha's late addition and Haruka's removal. But it also shows how much a group's branding, music preparation, and concept can be finalized without the member lineup even being final. This helps explain why Hybe were reluctant to remove Karam from the group, as logistically it's a pain to remove her from footage, merchandise, and branding once debuted. Furthermore, the company is picky about their group selection, and so Karam was of some value to the company, also selecting her to be in Enhypen's Drunk Dazed music video as the character Sua in Enhypen's webcomic. A theory I have is that Haruka was included in the documentary as an in case Hybe ever wanted to complete their 6-member group and add her back into Lesserafim, or perhaps she'll debut in one of the new girl groups next year. The documentary showed the time and care Hybe put into the girls' training. Compared to a group like New Jeans, and no hate to New Jeans, I'm a fan and it is no fault of the members, but the company itself, there is a notable discrepancy in the amount of care and attention paid into Lesserafim's training and choreography. Training 5 to 6 hours daily for their debut showcase alone, every mistake and missed beat was thoroughly ironed out consistently until each member could perform the choreography neatly to a T. Rewatching the Fearless dance practice video, you can see the amount of practice shown in the documentary paid off. There was a lot riding on this group as Hybe's first girl group, and that's probably why so much attention and meticulous care was placed on the group. For instance, Chaewon was reprimanded for not performing her best and cried from the stress and pressure of it all. The documentary made you feel for Kazuha, being whisked away from the Netherlands to start anew in Seoul. She seemed like a fish out of water and was excited but overwhelmed by her new environment. What's impressive is that Kazuha wasn't confident in her Korean language level. Stray Kids' Felix was almost cut from the group due to his Korean language skills. But Hybe wanted Kazuha so badly to join the group, they recruited her irrespectively, and that shows you the level of talent she has. Furthermore, her love for ballet was highlighted, which Hybe showcased in this comeback, so hopefully they continue to utilize her background, since we've seen, for instance, Winwin's treatment by SM, who is a classically trained dancer, first have his skills highlighted at debut, and then it slowly diminished as time went on, which was a shame. Hopefully Hybe don't do the same thing. They have highlighted Yeonjun's skills as a musician, and she's even vlogged about her songwriting capabilities, with Hybe recently releasing the original song she produced. So hopefully Hybe continue to foster the group's individual talents, pushing the group forward and making them stand out. Furthermore, the documentary highlighted Yeonjun's struggles as someone who never quite fully realized her dream of joining a group and becoming a full-fledged idol, facing many rejections along the way, and how living overseas from her family took a toll on her until finally being able to debut in Lesserafim. And you can see her past experience as a performer come through when she herself performs, like the other girls with previous idol experience. Sakura's worry was that she felt insecure debuting again, but watching the documentary, she has become an eye-catching key pillar of the group. And the same goes for Chaewon, who has a unique look and voice. She didn't seem nervous, but curious, and excited to know how her fans would feel about her debuting in Lesserafim, with a new look and concept. Her bubbly energy and bright nature is enjoyable to watch. Fascinatingly, through a committee's brainpower, PowerPoint presentations, and with the girls' involvement, a story was created for each of the girls, aligning their personal stories that led to their debut with the concept of being fearless. Yes, it may seem soulless to commodify someone's backstory, turning it into a brand, but the girls were involved in the process. Furthermore, it was surprising Hybe kept this in the documentary, but a day after a photoshoot for their debut, the girls were called into a meeting. The higher-ups said that they had reviewed their photos from the day before and were not happy with what they saw, and that the girls were not taking care of themselves, which was code for "some of you have gained weight." Perhaps names weren't mentioned due to the cameras being on, but the staff wanted to put the group on a diet plan. However, Sakura, who had probably witnessed something like this before and knew the stress that it would cause the members, defended the group, saying a strict meal plan wasn't necessary and that they could take care of their own diets and manage themselves. Sakura speaking up for the other members and defending her group shows the inner strength that she has, and it was admirable that she tried to help her teammates. A lot of stress is placed on bodies and appearances in Kpop, so constant fear of weight gain is something idols consider consistently experience, as it's clearly something that companies keep a close eye on and have no problem calling out their idols if they're unsatisfied. Furthermore, we've all heard the stories about idols or trainees undergoing a weekly weigh-in in front of staff and members alike, and I was reminded of this when noting the presence of a weigh-in machine in the practice room. It wasn't used when the cameras were on, but its presence enough could be a source of anxiety. And speaking of image anxiety, Sakura felt too uncomfortable to let go of her facial expressions when dancing. The coach told Sakura to let loose, that even if she tried to look bad, she would still look good. But Sakura couldn't believe her, saying she felt as though she already looked bad regardless. It was sad to hear this kind of negative self-talk and self-image of oneself, but not surprising to hear in this kind of industry. Hopefully, Sakura's self-confidence will slowly yet surely grow. In addition, the company wants groups to work as a team, while also encouraging competition between the members. The reason being that it encourages the members to better improve themselves, thus ultimately improving the group as a whole. Kazuha, for instance, was a late addition to the group. Her vocal coach stated in the documentary that she purposefully wanted Kazuha to feel jealous towards the other members who were ahead of her, in a bid to make Kazuha feel lacking, so that she would push herself extra hard to catch up to the other members. Of course, this method can work, but it can also encourage infighting and jealousy in the group, and that coach probably isn't the only one to use this method. Ultimately, Kazuha broke down in tears in front of the group due to being overwhelmed and isolated by it all. We've seen bullying scandals occur in K-pop groups, and staff encouraging comparison, jealousy, and competitiveness between members could be a reason why these incidences occur, even if it starts off as healthy competition. Encouraging this behavior can lead to people pulling all-nighters and practicing until they've completely burnt out in order to get ahead or earn praise from their coaches. What if losing an extra pound earns you more praise? What if your popularity is boosted because of it, and the solo gigs come due to it as well? It can become a toxic feedback loop, gaining solo recognition through extreme efforts. Adding to this, NCT's Taeyong said on his bubble how he remembered the managers telling specifically him that if NCT failed and the group didn't succeed, it would be his fault. Yes, it spurred him on to work harder, but we've seen the multiple injuries Taeyong has gained in the process as well. The fact that he still remembers those words to this day shows the mental effect that they have had on him. He also mentioned how the members compare their individual popularity, which is also a source of anxiety for them, especially for the less popular members. This reinforces the notion that companies encourage this comparative behavior and implement such tactics, regardless of the mental toll it places on their idols, as self-improvement and group results are more important. But hopefully the girls are able to persevere in protecting each other. Having someone like Sakura in the group who is willing to defend her fellow members against management is a good thing, and hopefully things will change. Yeonjin herself mentioned a therapist during the documentary. It is unclear if Hybe provided the therapist, and if a therapy session is mandatory for members, but hopefully it is accessible to all their idols. Hybe's biggest criticism is that they have turned into a soulless idol-pumping factory, and their promise to debut 4 new groups in the next year shows those critiques aren't unfounded. But documentaries like this, and even shows like Island and The Howling, show that regardless of the company, these idols and trainees are human beings who sacrifice a lot to achieve their dreams, and must work hard to justify their place in a group. This documentary drew sympathy for the members of Lesserafim and helps you understand their positions a little more, while highlighting their talents and uniqueness. Their comeback seems to be going well, so let's see if they make it on a global scale. But what do you think?